Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Business of Beauty show. My name is Cherie, and I will be your host, and I'm joined by three beautiful co-hosts who are experts in their field. The Business of Beauty show is a show that's about holistic beauty, beauty inside out. We're going to be talking to women who are in the beauty field as well as women who are in the empowerment field. So we're going to collide those two worlds and dig into some deep topics pertaining to the two. So first, let me start off by introducing you to my co-host and myself as well. Like I said, my name is Cherie Atkins. I'm the guest services coordinator here at Moulton Museum. I've been here for about 8 years or so. And in addition to my passion for Moulton Museum, I'm also passionate about empowering women through fashion, faith, and beauty, just kind of colliding all three of those worlds. And that passion led me to start a business entitled Made to Reign LLC, where I use faith, fashion, and beauty through the means of product, services, and events to empower women. And just a little other fun facts about myself. I am an alumni of the leadership program at VCU, Women's Leadership Program, so to speak, because I'm very passionate about women's leadership as well. I also recently graduated from ministry school last year. Yeah, so much happened during the pandemic, I forgot. Yeah, it was last year. Also, my hobbies include gardening, traveling, and trying new restaurants. My hidden talent would be writing poetry and fashion design. My favorite quote is, "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." And that's by Eleanor Roosevelt. I'm a big dreamer, and I just love to dream and make dreams come true for myself and others. And my female role model is my mother. She's the strongest woman I know. She's just been through so much, and she's went through it gracefully and has so much strength and so much wisdom. So she definitely inspires me. Now, let's learn a little bit about my beautiful co-hosts. Each of these women are unique and authentic in their own way, whether it be their personality or their field of study or their profession, or they're just overall dope women. Like I admire each of them for different reasons. And it was funny when, coming up with this event and when I had to think of people to be a part of it. Typically, when you do something like this, you think of people that you've known for years or, someone you're familiar with. But these three ladies, I know from different things in life, maybe not necessarily having known them for years through friendships, but just admiring them through what they do for a living or being a friend on social media or going to school with them, riding the school bus together, AKA Amy. But yeah, each of these women are really going to have a lot to say regarding these topics that we're going to dig into. So first, we'll start with Amy. Amy Carter, which is to the top left of the screen, it should be. She is a master nail technician. In 2006, being a stay-at-home mom, she could not afford to get her nails done. So one day she decided since she could paint and had a history in construction work, that she could do her own. And it was more of a hobby for her. Fast forward to when she became a mother, had children, and now they're teenagers, she started to work for Aflac. And I believe that's the insurance company, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So while trying to sell Aflac insurance, she used a sales tactic to relate to the salon and told them that she could do nails. Someone asked her, someone asked her to show them exactly like what she could do pretty much. So once she did that, she was offered a job on weekends and only if she would attend school and be licensed. So once she worked there for a year and a half, she branched out and started her own nail salon. So now she's been in her business for 3 years now. It's going on her third year.
Yeah.
And she also helps other technicians to become licensed and perfect their skills. A significant accomplishment for Amy is that she recently reached out to the governor during COVID-19. And by reaching out to him, she spoke about different things pertaining to salons and the safety measures that are used. So once she emailed him, by surprise, he responded to her and referred her to a CDC nurse. They called her, gave her the opportunity to participate in the coronavirus research and the spreadable rate located in salons person to person. So once she was able to do that, she bought a Aerovac salon filtration system. And was that the only one or one of the first ones that are used in nail salons in Virginia, right?
The first one in Virginia.
Wow. Wow, that's
Yeah.
major. So yeah, that's a pretty significant accomplishment there. She just really like just stepped out and was like, let me just email him, and then all that came as a result of it.
Yeah, I was very shocked.
That is awesome. That's awesome. And her hobbies include fishing and dancing. Her hidden talent actually was nails for 9 years. She didn't know that she had that talent.
I didn't know I wanted a job.
Wow, that's a perfect example of how your hobby can turn into your career. Like,
Right.
so don't sleep on your hobbies, those who might see
Do
this.
not.
And her favorite quote is quality speaks for itself. And her role model is also her mom. Okay, I see a common thread here. So that is Amy Carter. Next up, we have Asia Smith, which is on the bottom left corner. Asia Smith is a salon owner and hairstylist at New You Boutique here in Farmville. And also, Amy, you're from a native of Prince Edward County as well, right?
Yes.
You were born in Richmond, but now Prince Edward County.
Yes, yes.
So Asia has been in her profession for 4 years, and she's been running her own business as a salon owner for less than 1 year, 1 year and 9 months. She's a native of Cumberland, born and raised. She's a daughter, a sister, and a friend. She attended Cumberland Public Schools, in which she received her diploma in 2015. And she became a student for a short period after that. Being in the work field and while working in the work field, or being in the work field rather, she discovered her niche in the beauty industry. She was employed in the fast food industry for just shy of 2 years until she began to work from home permanently as a hairstylist. Her significant accomplishments are being a business owner, which is major. And I didn't know this is pretty cool. She has her own hair care line and beauty products.
Yes.
That is dope. Okay, I'm gonna have to talk to you after this. I didn't even realize that. Okay, and her hobbies include praise dancing, singing. She's also a choir director for Midway Baptist Church Youth. She likes to work out, take hiking trips, travel, and shop. And then also she says, believe it or not, but hairstyling was also a hobby, is a hobby for her. And she loves being able to come into work and enjoy what she does and present it in a successful manner to others. And her hidden talent is drawing and writing. Okay. And her favorite quote is, to every lie spoken over you, God is speaking 1,000 truths. I love that. I love that. And her role model is also her mom. So that is Asia Smith, everyone. And then last but not least, we have Mrs. Savannah Huddleston.
Hello.
Savannah is a motivational speaker, a social media director, and a youth pastor, so a multifaceted woman here. She believes that our biggest setbacks can be our greatest setups for our purpose. She works with My Truth Bomb as a motivational speaker. She's a social media director and co-youth pastor at New Life Church. Her current goal in life is to have a healthy marriage, to raise her little one. She has a baby on the way. And she also believes that you should never stop learning and growing. And one funny fact about her, this is when I was reading this, I was like, okay. A funny beauty fact about her is that she once shaved off her eyebrows. And because one of her friends made fun of her and told her that they were bushy. And her mom walked in after she did it and was frantic. Of course, I couldn't imagine. Mom was like, what is going on here? But she played it off like she didn't know what was going on or what happened. But needless to say, her mom helped her fill in her eyebrows with eyeshadow and eyeliner for weeks until they grew back.
Mama, look. Mama had my back, okay?
I'll tell you, mom always comes to the rescue.
Yes.
And Savannah's hobbies are thrifting, road trips, tasting new foods at unique restaurants, trips to the dog park with her doodles, and strolling through the aisles of Target and TJ Maxx. Yes, to Target, absolutely to TJ Maxx. Her hidden talent is that she can sing. And her role model, let me know if I pronounce this wrong, is Sharon McMahon.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And can you tell us about Sharon McMahon?
Yeah, I would love to. So I have lots of role models, but I guess currently with this past year in 2020, and the height of elections and everything like that. She was someone that really inspired me because she posts like content that just like basically breaks down like both sides. So she's like, her like goal in life, she's a government teacher. Okay. And her goal is to like, we don't have to all agree, but let's lean in to understand one another. Yeah. And I just love that about her. I love how she longs to just grow in understanding for one another. And through that, I think the world can be a better place if we just like grow in understanding for one another's perspectives in more than one way, obviously. She was someone that I just really, really gained a lot of perspective from. And yeah, I just really enjoy her.
Yeah, that's super important today, to lean to gain understanding versus always trying to be understood. I think that we could go so much further if we do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so let's jump into the show. We're going to start off by talking more so about getting to know these ladies a little more, aside from, you know, the information I just read pertaining to their professions. So let's start with Miss Asia. What made you join the particular industry that you're in?
Honestly, this question is always kind of tricky to answer. Believe it or not, a lot of my clients ask me this question all the time. Oh, what made you decide to join into the beauty industry? Like, how did you get here? And honestly, it started off as a hobby or a side hustle rather. Yes. It was just something that I was good at, that I always provided the services for myself. I started doing my own hair at like 12 years old. And my grandmother, she went to school for cosmetology for a short period of time. And so I guess it was just something that I had already instilled in me. And so I started doing my hair when I was 12. And then I think around 18 years old, I did my own set of braids. And I had a lady at my church was like, oh my gosh, who did your hair? My granddaughter needs her hair done for school. And I'm looking at her like, I did it, but I don't know about that. So she begged me, like literally begged me in church. She was like, she needs her hair done, like, just please. So I made my first $45 doing this young girl's like hair for, right? Doing this young girl's hair for school. And so she went to school and everybody was like, you know, raving over her braids. It was like, oh my gosh, who did your hair? Who did your hair? And so I started getting into that first. And then, just slowly here and there, like on my time off or like during the summertime, I would do like, you know, my friends and family hair here and there. They would pay me like a small fee. Yeah. And then I was working in the food industry, like I had said, and I had did my friend's hair and she posted it on Facebook. And literally my inbox went booming. It was like, oh my goodness, are you available this day, this day, this day? So as I was working, I had like a set schedule at the time. So it was like Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. And so when I got off work and then on the weekends, I would provide the services from home. And my clientele just continued to grow and grow and grow. So my mom was like, why don't you just do it full time? And I'm looking at her like, I don't know. Like I was like very scared. It was kind of like a leap of faith, honestly. It was like, oh, I'm gonna quit my job, go full time. And then I just started to specialize in natural hair, like natural hair care, braids. And that's how I got into it. So, yeah.
Wow. It seems like that, just talking to different people as it pertains to like what they do for a living, how they got into it. A lot of people kind of like stumble into purpose. It seems that way. It's like the talents and the things that you have that you do naturally, like you don't realize that that's your gift and like you can actually like make a living off of it. So
right. Because I didn't graduate in high school. I had no plans to do hair. I had no plans to provide services for people in the beauty industry. No plans to have my own salon. I honestly didn't know what I wanted to do. So yeah, I just kind of just stumbled into my gift and I'm just taking it day by day from here now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes, here for it.
So Amy, what about you? What made you join your particular industry?
Well, I became disabled about 15 years ago. I found out I had bipolar disorder and I struggled a lot with suicide and manic depression and stuff like that. So I couldn't work a normal job. You got to be there every day. You can't want to kill yourself one day and not come, you get fired.
Yeah.
So I ended up disabled and I couldn't afford to do the things I like to do, like go get my nails done and stuff. And I liked expensive nails. I like long, fancy nails.
Yeah.
So I said, you know, back when I was younger, I did construction work and stuff and working with those types of materials to fill in holes and walls and stuff. It's kind of similar. So I said, I'm going to give it a try. It's just like a Dremel tool, but a little bit slower. So I figured I could do it. And I learned at home, and it was back in the day when it was regular polish. So if you messed up a hand painted thing, you had to take it completely off and start over again. And I just continued doing that for family, friends, until people just kept asking me, who does your nails? Who does your nails? And I never, took payment for it. I would say, bring me 3 polishes and I'll fill your nails in or do your nails. And I did that here and there for friends. And then finally I said, the chemicals are too strong. I don't want to do nails at home anymore. I started working again, selling insurance. And I said, I'm going to go back to getting my nails done. I went and got my nails done about 3 times and was like, no, this ain't gonna cut it because I'm so picky. So I ended up doing my own nails again and just kind of falling back into, actually, I never wanted to be licensed and have a business doing it, because I said, then what I love doing as fun will be a job. But I love doing it. I would practically live in my salon if my family would let me.
Yeah.
Because I just love doing it. I love my clients. I'm an extrovert, introvert. So once I get to know my people, we have a good time, and I just love being around them and being here and providing for them.
Yeah. That's awesome. Another story of stumbling into it. So,
right.
Yeah. Okay. So, Miss Savannah, what about you?
Yay. Okay, so a little bit of backstory of how I got into this sort of a thing. Although I'm not a beauty professional, as Cherie said, I travel with my Truth Bomb, which is a business that we do school assemblies at middle schools, high schools, and also elementary schools. Mainly geared around bullying and self-image and worth and identity and all of the lovely things of that nature. So I got involved with that because I was born with a birth defect called cleft lip and palate. And because of my birth defect, over the course of being 3 months old till I was 18, I had 12 surgeries. So it was basically surgery every 2 or 3 years throughout my life. So with those surgeries came a lot of just trauma and different things like that. I was kind of awkward and I looked different than other kids. And so I grew up in Florida. I was really bullied by other girls. It wasn't really ever boys. It was always the girls that bullied me. And because of that, I just had really low self-esteem issues and really struggled with my worth and self-image. And it got really bad in high school, just really struggling with depression and social anxiety and trying to put on a brave face when I wasn't okay. And I just remember feeling like I was never going to be enough. And so we moved from Florida to Virginia my senior year of high school. And I had my final surgery moving to Virginia. And I was so excited to start a new school year at a different area. And with my final, it's how everyone has that one thing. They're if I could just get this one thing done, I will feel I will literally be that girl.
Yeah.
This surgery was that for me. I was once this is the end, I'm going to be popping, people will love me and accept me, And so, back in Florida, I just wasn't pretty enough. And they were you're ugly, you have this big nose, you have your lip, da 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 da. And, so moving to Virginia, I was fresh start. And so I had this surgery and then I joined senior year and I was homecoming queen, which was really awkward for me because I didn't really understand. Like, yeah, I was just very insecure.
Yeah.
And I was seriously outcasted because I was like the new pretty girl. So it was senior year where I realized that my worth cannot be found in what other people say about me, because if it is, I'm never going to measure up.
Yeah.
So in Florida, I wasn't pretty enough. Virginia, I was like too pretty that I had to be snooty. And so that was kind of like a pivotal moment for me. When, senior year of high school. And so after that, I just remember volunteering in my youth group and getting with some other high school and middle school students after I graduated. And they were just similarly struggling with things that I was struggling with when I was a student, and got involved and then joined my Truth Bomb with their school assemblies. And I remember the first time I ever shared my story in a school setting, it was terrifying because I went back. It was the first time I went back into like a setting where I was deeply hurt and wounded as a teenager. And there I was, like, being open and exposed to other people and sharing my story that was really close to my heart. And I literally cried for like 5 minutes of sharing, because it was so just like close to, it's my story. It's your story is your story. And so I remember afterward, so many young girls came up to me sobbing. This is pre-COVID. And they're just like hugging me. I mean, there had to be, like, I'm not exaggerating, there had to be 50, 60 girls that came up to me, like, one by one. Yeah. And we're just like, you will never know, like, how much this meant. You just shared your story. And that was the day that I was like, if my story can bring anyone a sense of like relatability of like, wow, I thought I was the only one that felt that way, or just a sense of like freedom of, I don't have to like live in the shadows of like what other people think of me.
Yeah.
That was the moment that, like, really, that was like the pivotal moment for me where I really recognized this is something that I'm called to do. And even though it may be terrifying and I may not have all the right words, I can just try. And so that's kind of how I got started. And that was about 6 years ago.
Wow. That is a powerful story. Like, all of you guys have powerful stories, and it's amazing to hear your stories and just kind of like hear like the similarities woven into each of our stories. It's like, it's a testament to like what you just said. Like, a lot of people think they're alone in what they go through, but we're more alike than we're different. Like, as women, like, we really are. No matter our culture, our ethnicity, we're more alike than we're different, than we realize. And even like going into me, like why I do what I do, as far as like Moton Museum, I kind of stumbled upon the job. I was working in retail. I was looking for a part-time job in addition to my retail job. I was working at Shoe Show at the time. I just needed some more money. And this is, I'm going to age myself when I say this, but I looked in the newspaper for jobs. So in the newspaper, it said that they were hiring for a visitor services representative at a museum in Farmville. I was like, it's a museum in Farmville? Like, I didn't even know that. Fast forward to, I applied for the job, I got the job. And when I walked in the building, I was like, wait, I've been here before. And I remember that I came when I was in high school for the opening, and then again towards my senior year for the second grand opening, like when it became like an actual museum. So I was like, this is like divine providence here, And even while working here, I learned about my mom's interaction with the history, how she was one of the students locked out for 5 years due to the school closing. Prior to me working here, she hadn't really talked about her story or shared that story with me. And she opened more up about it, as the years went by, and as I kind of shared with her different pieces of the history that I learned, she shared with me parts of her story. And so that's how I came about working at Moton. But as far as Made Terrain LLC, I started that business very similar to your story, Savannah. Growing up with extremely low self-esteem. Like, when I tell my story, I tell people it was no self-esteem. I literally had no sense of
Wow.
self-worth or value or anything instilled in me. So the media and different other things, I kind of use that as a gauge to kind of be like, okay, well, this is what pretty means. This is what it means to be smart. This is what it means to be that, you know, just because I didn't have that definition or that validation within myself. So I was also bullied and told constantly on a daily basis that I was ugly, that I had a big nose, this, that, or the third, you know. And when you hear something constantly, you begin to internalize it, especially if you don't already have your sense of self-worth built on the inside of you, you believe what other people say if you don't know.
Sure.
So having gone through that, and then having the effects of that, you know, kind of trickle into my adulthood, you know, and then once I became like healed from those issues, I just got this like strong fire and sense of like, okay, I don't want any other girl or woman to go through like what I went through, you know. So if it's any kind of way that I can like create something, or even if it's just by a conversation or a phone call. I started out as mentorship. I started mentoring this girl at my church who heard my story. And then once she was affected by it, I was like, okay, well, maybe I can, you know, do a little something more with this. So I started a blog. And then once I started my blog, you know, I started to get emails and different people to tell me how, you know, they connected with my story. I was like, well, maybe I can have an event. So I had my very first event in 2016 entitled Beauty Inside Out, because that's my passion, just to help women know that they're beautiful on the inside. And then once you get that locked down, you can definitely express that out as well. So yeah.
That's so cool.
Wow. We all have so much in common. It's so crazy. All right. So let's see. And anyone can jump in this question. We all know what each of us do, but what would you say is your area of expertise, or what do you specialize in as it pertains to your profession?
Well, I would say I specialize in the shape of a nail, in the base of a nail, the foundation of a nail. And like I tell all of my students or girls that I'm mentoring or helping, because I've helped some just via Facebook, talking to them in other states. But I would say you can't put something bad, something good on top of something bad. So no matter what the art looks like on top, if the nail itself isn't worth anything, you need to make sure that's good first. So I'm a very big stickler on making sure the foundation of my nail is good.
Yeah, that's
I
awesome.
specialize in my foundation.
I guess I can go. Sorry. I don't want to cut anybody off. So yeah, I guess I specialize in just empowering students, really is what I do. So just getting with students and just helping them find their true worth and their value, and empowering them to just go after it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all.
That's awesome though.
Yeah, so I actually offer a wide range of services. Like my age, like the age group that I have come in my salon every day ranges from like 2 to 70 plus. So there's a good amount of things that I offer, but I would say that I specialize in natural hair. You know, you have the braids, the extensions, the locks. I have a extra passion for natural hair care specifically, just because I feel like, you know, it's kind of sort of what Amy said, like you can't put something good on top of something bad. So with the foundation of the nails, you know, goes a long way versus just the detail and the design of the nail. It's kind of the same thing with hair. Like if you come in with someone with damaged hair and then you just try to put something quick on top, that's a pet peeve. So I'm like, okay, let's focus on the health of the hair first. So that would be like what I specialize in.
Okay. And I would say for me, probably mentorship. I kind of feel like that is like the groundwork, so to speak. Like once you can like get that one-on-one relationship with someone, or sometimes you mentor people from afar, you never know like who's watching you, who's inspired by your story and things of that nature. So I would say mentorship would be my specialty. Yeah. And everything else kind of just branches from that. Okay, so who would you say is your dream celebrity mentor and client?
I'll go first. I feel like mine is probably like so silly compared to y'all, so I'll just um, okay, I don't know if you guys know who Kristen Bell is. She's like this crazy blonde lady who really likes sloths. Anyway,
Is that the one from The Good Place?
yes.
Yeah. I love her.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just adore her. I guess what I like about her is that she is who she is, and that's okay. I think a lot of times, I guess, okay, what I like about her is that I relate to her in the fact that she's bubbly and goofy, and she's not embarrassed of that. And that's just, she just like embraces herself for who she is. Yet she is also very strong in like leadership. She's just a strong leader. She's a strong woman, and she empowers other women. So I just love that about her. And I feel like for me personally, I would love to like meet someone that I could see myself having like a cool relationship or friendship with. And she's someone that I could totally see like bonding over anything, you know. We just, I think we'd hit it off great. So I love her, and her husband's cool too. So I would love to be their friend.
What about, well, what about client? I know that's kind of hard to say with your field, but I guess if it's anyone that you could just sit down and have a conversation with regarding to empowerment, self-worth, self-esteem, who would it be?
Oh gosh. Honestly, this sounds so cliche, but probably Oprah, because she's incredible.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll just say Oprah for both. It's fine.
Yes.
But yeah, like she's just incredible. So I mean, I feel like just her name speaks for itself. I think she's someone that, yeah, if you can have a name like Oprah and your legacy follows that name, I think that's like, yeah, it's worth having a conversation with her for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So I've actually never thought about this question. And Savannah, like, you kind of took one of my people, but because she was like, I was thinking, I'm not gonna pick two people like you did, but she was like one of my, do I pick her or do I pick the other lady? So I'm gonna say Michelle Obama.
Yes, girl.
Yeah, you can't take that one. Do not say her too, because but I'm gonna say Michelle Obama just because of like the first lady that you mentioned. Kind of the same thing, just like her leadership and her empathy for women empowerment and leadership and motivation and self-esteem. Michelle Obama is like really big on self-esteem and just like women and young girls. And then I also just following her, I feel like she has a way of making people feel like they're a part of something bigger. And for me personally, I'm not a huge dreamer. I don't have like, if someone was to ask me, oh, like, Asia, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years or 20 years from now? Like, I can't answer that question because I don't really dream big. I tend to like just take things day by day only because of my fear of dreaming big. Yeah. I am my worst critic, which I think most of us are.
Most creators
are.
Feel
like, yes, I always feel like, oh, you know, I'll never be able to do that. You know, I feel like just being in a room with her, I feel like her like spirit and her energy will like influence me to want to dream bigger and want to do more and want to be more. And I just got to do sis hair one time. Yes. Okay, so yeah, Michelle Obama.
Yes, and you see how much clout the young lady got that did her hair for the yeah, so you never know. Okay.
Mine would be Lovely Mimi. She's a nail tech that was from the DC Maryland line. She now owns 3 nail salons throughout the US, and she moved away to California. She started nails, bought her own salon within 5 years, blew up using social media platforms, and her goofiness. She made jokes about everyday things nail techs go through, or just anybody could kind of go through dealing with you know, customer service situations and stuff. And she's just a funny, corny, but lovable person. And she doesn't care. She blatantly says she doesn't care what anybody thinks. She's dealt with a lot of hating because for the Vietnamese, when they tend to try to branch out and do more art and stuff, the Americans don't like that. They want them to stay the quick shops. They don't, and so she doesn't care. She's like, no, I'm going to do the fancier sets. I'm not going to be a quick shop. I'm going to be an artist. And she took it to that level more locally, and it inspired other local people to say, you know what, if she did it, I can do it. And that's what it did to me. It was like, if she could become kind of an overnight success, I could do it too.
Yeah.
And I would love to have her as a client as well, so she can critique my work.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen Lovely Mimi on TV, and I just have to
She
say,
is
I can
crazy.
literally see y'all. I can see y'all in the same setting. Like, honestly.
Having a blast.
Wow. It's crazy how all of your mentors and dream clients just like fit who you are so perfectly,
Yeah.
And I would say for me, it would be, she's my dream client and mentor, Sarah Jakes Roberts. I love her just because she's a woman of faith. She's stylish, she's not ashamed of her story. She's authentic. Like, I admire all those things about her. It's like just being able to say, just because you're a church girl or a woman of faith doesn't mean that you have to slack in the area of style. Doesn't mean you have to look homely. Doesn't mean you have to you could be stylish. You could be full of faith, and all of the above. So
And you look like you were about to change your answer.
Huh?
Savannah looked like she was about to change her answer.
Okay,
Soon as you said Sarah Jakes Roberts,
let me
like,
tell you, I literally, she was the one that I was gonna say earlier, and I forgot. Like on the spot, I forgot, and I was like, I'm gonna just say, it's fine. You can have Sarah. You can have her.
Yeah.
I have Oprah. We can all hang out together.
I know we can all just like intermingle, because when you said
I love
Michelle,
her.
I was like, oh yes, Michelle Obama.
I could not
absolutely.
picture Michelle Obama, Lovely Mimi, and Oprah in the same room. I don't know.
girl, they would probably have a blast anyway.
For real.
I'm telling you.
Gut busting laughing.
Wow. Do you think of just like the stories and the perspective that everyone could get from each other with those different people being in the
Right.
same room?
Yeah, right. Mhm.
It's the realization that they're all so different, but in some way will connect.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Okay, so let's see. I think we've kind of already answered this, but if anyone can jump in here. What role do you think the beauty industry plays in empowering women and girls in the area of self-esteem and self-love, or self-image as a whole?
Okay, can I ask a question?
Mhm.
Are we able to cut something out? My phone's dying. Can I run and get a charger?
Yeah, I'll pause it right now. Hold on.
I guess I can go first. So I was thinking about this question and thinking about it. I think a store that comes to mind that is doing a good job at this at the moment is American Eagle. They're bringing a lot of diversity into their models.
Mhm.
So if you go on their website, not only are they bringing diversity in just ethnicity, but also just they have some paraplegics on there, and women who have stretch marks, freckles, different body types. And it's just really cool to see that.
Yeah.
And so I just thought it was really empowering to see some people that looked like me, because I'm not a twig. And so it's nice to see some ladies with some curves and being pregnant. I have stretch marks. And so it's nice to see that they're normalizing those sorts of things, But I was thinking also about how this is a trend to do right now. So as much as I would love to say that people that are doing this, it's out of this innocence of wanting to just be like, you know, celebrating women's beauty. I think there are people that are doing that. I do also think that it's just trendy to do that right now. So I don't know if that makes sense. So I don't know. I was just thinking about that. Anyone else wants to chime in, you're welcome to. But yeah, I was like, it just kind of sucks that this is like something that we're doing now because it's trendy. It's like, oh, like celebrate women's bodies. I hope it stays trendy. I really do. And I hope it continues to like grow. But anyways, that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, so just to piggyback off of what Savannah said, I have noticed a lot of different brands and businesses have incorporated everyone as far as skin tone and body image and all of that. And that was actually the same question in my head. I'm like, okay, so are they doing this just because it's a trend, or are they doing this you know, to actually allow us to accept ourselves as we are?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Yeah, I like Savannah said, I hope it remains, not gonna say I hope it remains trendy, but I hope it like it's something that is ongoing so that it'll allow us to be ourselves.
Yeah.
Well, that's just like Victoria's Secrets has added plus size models and plus size, they're adding more plus size clothing, bathing suits and stuff like that. Innovation. It's such an innovative field with beauty. Somebody didn't like the way their lips looked, and they learned how to make their lips look pretty, how they wanted them to look. It's innovative. You can go so many different directions with beauty or with your today one thing might not be in style and tomorrow it might be. Like back in the day, having hips and curves was not cute, and now you want the bigger the better. Yeah. So I feel like with more diversity, people not being as cookie cutter. When you're a cookie cutter, you're lost. Yeah. You're just the same as everybody else, and celebrating the differences that we all have is what makes it fun, because we're not all exactly the same. If we was all exactly the same, life would be so boring.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
The beauty business would be so boring if everything was exactly the same. If everybody got French tip nails, I'd freak.
Yeah, and like even with when you mentioned Victoria's Secret, it reminded me of Rihanna and Fenty, right? And Savage. Like all of the women who model her lingerie line, none of them look the same. They're different ethnicities, they're different sizes, different shapes, you know, so she accommodates inclusion. And then also when it comes to her makeup line, it's like she's offering these different shades of foundation that were not readily available for women of different skin tones. Like even like I know for myself, it's hard for me to find like one foundation that works for me. I usually have to mix different things together to see what'll work for me. But when it comes to Fenty, it's like, oh, I know I wear 105 like that, like perfectly blends in with my complexion. So it's definitely important for those who work in the beauty industry to be inclusive, to realize that, hey, when you got into this industry, maybe it wasn't for the sake of empowerment, so to speak. Maybe you wanted to just like express yourself creatively, but just realizing that now you're in this field, you kind of have a responsibility. Like whether you like it or not, it's like when you're in leadership, you have a responsibility to uphold a specific standard, and, you know, upholding the standard of, you know, helping women feel beautiful on the outside. You know, it's important to do that in a way that is inclusive of all skin types, all shapes, all sizes, and not just one type of person, because look at us on this panel. Like none of us look the same. So it's like, you can't just do something to accommodate one and not accommodate the other, but call it empowerment. Like there's no way you can do that.
Yeah. And I was also, as you were speaking, just thinking through like, talking about like, is this actually something that you guys are modeling with your brand? Like, or is this just something that, you know, you're representing because it's trendy? And so taking it a step further with these organizations and companies that are claiming, you know, inclusion and diversity, because everyone wants to see themselves represented in a brand. Like, it's not fun when you go to try something on and it's like nothing fits you and you're just like, what the heck? Or you can't find like the perfect shade in makeup or whatever that looks like. And I was just thinking, you know, with these companies, is inclusion represented in the way that they're hiring?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
in the way that their leadership is. Like, let's talk about upper leadership. What's that look like? Like
Right.
for all of these companies that are supporting women, do they have women in leadership, or is it just
Yeah.
a bunch of guys around a table? You know, like what does that look like? You're like, let's talk about it. Like, let me see your staff. Does it represent diversity, or is this just something that you're doing right now because it's trendy? And if it doesn't represent diversity, that's okay. We can go forward. So like, let's make it better. So if they're changing the way that they're wanting their brand to be represented, not just changing the image that people see on the mannequin or, you know, in their advertisements, but also doing like a haul of their staffing and saying, okay, like, does this line up with our morals? Do we have some changes that we need to make? So I think it goes deeper than just, you know,
What's
the
being
way that we're, yeah.
and versus what's behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Come on. I'm like, show me your leadership. Is that inclusion? Because I think that brings true inclusion and representation when you put your money where your mouth is.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I also noticed something that I like, even beyond the clothing or the makeup, they've included diversity for children as far as like the Barbie dolls now.
Yeah.
They have like plus size like Barbie dolls and what's the skin condition? Vitiligo.
Yeah.
I've
And
seen like
paraplegic.
Barbie
They got
dolls, yeah.
paraplegic Barbies too.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen those and I'm like, wow, okay, so they're really trying to, you know, make a diverse selection
Include
so like we can see it from a younger age versus, you know, just seeing that one, you know, style of Barbie doll that there used to be when we were coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
so good.
Right. Well, that concludes segment 1 of the Business of Beauty show. We dived into the profession of beauty and it went a whole lot of other places, which was totally fun and awesome because you never knew who might hear this and might need to hear the perspective of the different women who are involved. So stay tuned for segment 2. All right, so they'll cut that out. Going to segment 2. All right. So I'm just going to introduce it as if it's something new and we'll just go from there. Okay. So welcome to segment 2 of the Business of Beauty show. In segment 2, again, we are joined by Asia Smith, Amy Carter, and Savannah Huddleston, and myself, Cherie Atkins. And in segment 2, we're going to be talking about the standard of beauty. So this is where we kind of dive a little deeper. And yeah, I love this part. So the teacher in me wants to give a definition of beauty. So I think I'm going to do that. So
Go ahead.
The definition of beauty is, it says beauty, and this is from Webster's Dictionary. Beauty is commonly described as a feature of objects that makes these objects pleasurable to perceive. Such objects include landscapes, sunsets, humans, and works of art. And in my opinion, humans are works of art, but hey. Beauty together with art and taste is the main subject of aesthetics, one of the major branches of philosophy. So with all that being said, with the definition of beauty being laid out there, right? And we kind of talked a little bit about this in segment 1, about the media and just different companies that are doing different things to uphold the responsibility of, you know, self-image and self-esteem, whether they're actually practicing what they preach or not. What role would you say the media plays in setting beauty standards for women and girls? And I know that's a loaded question, but I remember when I was younger, the media was everything. It's like what I saw in magazines, what I saw in music videos, what I saw portrayed on television. I was like, this is what beauty is. Like, this is what it means to be beautiful. So even if it was true or not, you know, that's what I perceived it to be. So with the media being like broadcasted out there globally for different people to see different images, again, what role would you say media plays in setting that standard?
I think it plays the most major role. The best thing about now, though, is we have social media. And that gets to show people in their real life settings, in their real life clothes, day to day, not always ready for the camera to say. So you get to see the real side of beauty. Beauty, they say, it's in the eye of the beholder. A banana stuck to a wall with a piece of tape sold for over $1 million because somebody thought it was beautiful. You're beautiful. You might be worth that $1 million. You might be that banana. You don't know.
Yeah.
So to me, media is what you're shown, but a lot of times, a lot of it is fake. Yeah. So that's why I love that with social media, I'm not a huge fan of social media, but with social media, you do get to see more realness as far as most normal people. You might see some of the fake and screened and acted, but at the same time, you get to see real sides of people too, and what they normally would look like without everything perfect.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to be authentic and to love yourself as you are, and to portray that out there instead of feeling like we were saying earlier, you have to be this cookie cutter, or you have to be on all the time, or you have to always have on your makeup, or you have to always do this and that when you take pictures. Granted, you know, you want to look good and things like that, but you have to know that you look good without the makeup. You look good with, you know, just your skin bare, you know, whatnot. So that's why it's important to be like authentically you, especially like you said with the social media aspect. It gives you more of an outlet to be able to show, you know, the get ready with me's or like the before and afters and things like that. So that people can look, I don't look like this all the time. Like without this makeup, you might see blemishes, you might see pimples sometimes, like, but that's okay. You're human.
But honey, I know I'm still popping.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
But I think, like, to piggyback off of what Amy said, as far as social media, I think just as much good as it can do, as far as like people showing them their authentic selves, it's also a beast at times.
Yeah.
And just to like use the term, I know everyone has heard beauty is pain. And in that, they always use it like, you know, you're going to get your hair done and it's hurting, or you're going to get like, you know, something done to like beautify yourself. It's painful. But I think just to like dig a little deeper into that term, beauty in the eye of social media is actually painful. Like if you are, I know sometimes in the past, I've had moments where I compare myself with others. So when it comes to, I know one of my hobbies I listed was working out. But I think like when I first started my workout journey, I was always looking at like, you know, pictures of like other people that I may or may not know. And like, oh, I want my body to look like hers. Or, you know, I want to look like this at the end of my journey, or, you know, just pointing out, you know, different things. And in all honesty, it's like, I'm supposed to be using workout as an outlet. I'm supposed to be using workout to make myself feel good. And I'm literally stressed out because I'm trying to look like someone else. Yeah. So as far as the media playing a role in aspects of beauty, I think it can do a whole lot of good, especially for the people who are transparent, who are authentic, who are themselves, who breathe confidence and show themselves with other people. As that confidence booster, I think it can be pretty ugly at times. So just to get past all of that, I think even as far as like the filters, I mean, we've all used filters. Just removing that filter on social media and outside of social media, because a lot of us carry filters every day outside of pictures. So just me personally trying to remove that filter, trying to remove like, you know, my makeup on certain days. It can be tough, but it's worth it in the end, especially when you're trying to speak to the younger crowd specifically.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, those are all amazing answers. I don't even know if I need to add to it, but I think media plays the biggest role in setting the standard for women, young and old. I think it's done a lot of damage with women, like you guys were mentioning. And I think it really does depend on like, it comes down to, it starts with us, right? Yeah. So, you know, it starts with us saying, you know what, like, I'm not going to follow people that make me feel bad about myself. Or, you know, like for me during COVID, I had to unfollow some influencers, people that I don't know, that I'll never know. You know, we all have those people that were like, oh my gosh, their body is goals or their hair is goals or whatever. I really just had to start unfollowing people that were completely unrealistic for me. Because I was constantly comparing myself to something that I would never live up to. And it was just like, honestly, not good for my mental health. And so what I did was I just kind of went through my feed and was like, well, I'm never gonna have boobs like that. So unfortunately, that's just not me. And so I just would just go through and just comb through this stuff because I'm like, it's not worth my mental health.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and I just started following people that represented something that I either am or I wanted to be. And that was achievable for me, right? So people that have you know, figures like I do, or maybe we just have similar, you know, just different struggles and stuff like that. And I just started following people that also were very vulnerable on their feed because COVID was nutso. And
Yes.
when you have a feed of people that are pretending to be perfect, it just makes you feel worse. And so I was like, I need to find some people that are showing up on their stories, messy bun with, you know, crumbs on their face, not trying to look like, you know, they're just like, hey y'all, here I am with all about, you know, with all my glory. And so I think media has a huge aspect to a lot of self-esteem issues. And another thing that I was going to mention lastly, sorry, I'm like so long-winded, it's just cut me off whenever. You know what I say? Instead of long story short, I say long story long because that's really what it is. So I went on a trip with my husband and two of our best friends. We went to Kenya, and we were in Kenya, and let's just be real. My husband and I were the only white people there for miles. Okay. So much so that everyone in Kenya would point at us and ask to take pictures with us because we were some of the first white people that they've ever seen. It was that, like, no lie. Well, I remember walking through the mall in Kenya. So there's like different levels. I mean, it's just like the United States, but a little worse where, you know, there's like levels of poverty. So like, it's like a really low income area. And then it's like this like huge fancy, you know, building right down the road. And it's just really crazy to see it that drastic. But we went to this mall in Kenya, and I remember all of the stores, like all of the photos that they had, and all of the TVs, like, you know how like in the malls or something, they'll like be playing videos and stuff. It was all white people modeling and on the TVs. And I was like, I could not believe it because I'm like, no one here is ever going to be white. like it just made no sense to me. I'm like, this is so uncomfortable to like witness this happening like at such like a stark difference, just because I'm like, me and my husband are the only people from Farmville, Virginia, for miles and miles and miles and miles away, that are able to even like look like this. And so it was just so interesting to see. And you know, that was like probably like 6 years ago. My friend Jordan, she was like, yeah, it's like that in the States. But you just may not have noticed it as much. And so that really opened my eyes to see just like the negative perceptions that media plays out of what beauty is. And that was just an extreme example. But yeah, I don't know. Sorry, that was weird to share, but
no,
interesting.
That was perfect.
That was real.
That was real and perfect, like the perfect segue to the next topic of discussion.
Yeah.
What would you say are some particular standards of beauty that are prevalent according to your race or ethnicity? And just to piggyback off of what you were saying, you know, I was recently watching this documentary. I can't remember the name of it. It's on Netflix, but it talked about how skin bleaching is so prevalent in Africa. Like, they feel like the standard of beauty is the lighter, the better. Like, they were taught to like just hate their darkly melanated skin. So these women go through these processes of just like bleaching their skin for years and years and years until they attain this complexion that they feel is beautiful. They feel like the lighter you are, that equates to wealth, that equates to beauty, that equates to getting better opportunities, that equates to being, seen as, higher in society, so to speak, and thankfully now things are changing a bit, but I mean, we still have a lot of work to do, but that's one like standard of beauty that's prevalent for not just, in Africa, but in America, just like, a lot of times, I know
And
for
in the
myself.
Asian,
Oh,
I'm
really?
sorry, and in the Asian communities,
Mhm.
they feel like being lighter leads to more successful, things in life.
Yeah.
And that's so sad.
It really
Yeah.
is. It really is. And even if when you think about like certain, like back to the media thing, when you think about certain music that you hear or certain songs that you listen to, that's why it's good to also kind of like guard what you hear, what you listen to if you're easily impressionable, because a lot of songs and music that's out there, it's just like, it caters to making you feel like being light skinned is the best way to be. Or, the lighter, the better, so to speak. So women that are different complexions or even different races are seen as second par to like being like light skin or red bone or whatever you want to call it, So what will you ladies say is a misconception, well, not even a misconception, but what is a real like standard of beauty that equates to your specific culture, that whether it's attainable or unattainable? Like, what would you say just like connects with your culture?
Well, for me, I notice we don't want to be fluorescent white. We don't want to be very pale. We go to tan events. We pay a lot of money to have a fake tan or to be darker.
Yeah.
Because being too pale, we feel sickly. We feel like, a kid that just survived the flu. But yeah, so being darker, it's so different.
Isn't that crazy though?
It is.
Yeah.
It's like we feel like we look sick and they feel like they look pretty.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing?
That's why self-love is so important, man. Just loving yourself the way that you are, like the unique, authentic way that you are. Just like self-love is just so important.
Right.
Just like, and even like another, like in Asia, tell me what you think about this. Like, even like as well, even Amy, you were saying this earlier, like how trends change, like how back in the day being curvy, was shunned upon, but now it's like, oh, being curvy is it.
BBW, they have all type of names for it now.
Yes,
yeah. So I think like the standard of beauty for lighter skin and darker skin is obviously different. It's almost not even a white or black thing. It's like whether or not you just literally are lighter than the next person. Because I can use my sister and I for an example. I have a twin sister, but she is fairly darker than I am. And even in school, it was this thing. Now, like you said, it's being more accepted. Like we do have a lot more work to do, but now they reference us and they use the hashtag melanin magic or my melanin is popping, and they're accepting the darker skinned girls. But even when I was in school, it was, oh, you too black, or you look like, it was all type of names. You look like an Oreo or like a dark cookie or, stuff like that. And even though I've never actually had to experience that because I'm not dark skinned, just hearing it was like, wow. So like, what's really the difference between her and I?
Yeah.
When it comes to the concept of beauty, like it's hard for us to accept our inner beauty because people are always looking at the outer appearance.
Yeah.
The first time they see us, they're automatically judging us. Oh, she's ugly. Or even like, the pretty girls. Oh, she's pretty, so she's stuck up or she's snobby.
Yeah.
Like, so what really is your definition of beauty? Like people try to, beauty is in the eye of the beholder or beauty is on the inside. But how do we, as women and younger children, younger girls, accept the beauty on the inside when people on the outside are always ignoring the inside factor?
Yeah. Yeah, that's so good. And it's like, I think at the end of the day, it's like when you realize that you are the standard of beauty, like there's no standard of beauty by this definition, that definition, you yourself are the standard of beauty. Like the way you are as is, you are enough. And like you said, like, it's hard to kind of like grasp it on the inside when you're constantly being judged by the outside. But when it's like, once you like are so strong and built up and know that you know that you know that you are enough, the things that people say, not saying they won't bother you, but they won't bother you to the extent where it shakes you to the area of like not accepting or loving yourself, or at least knowing your own worth. You know, like the opinions of others. It's this quote that says that if you live by the opinions of others, then you'll die by them as well.
You'll never live,
You'll never live the life, you'll never live your full potential if you're always trying to live up to this expectation or this standard of what other people are saying you should be. It's like, no, like accept yourself as is, no questions. And that's a process. Like, it's easy to say it, but it's definitely a process. And I know with you, Savannah, working in like the empowerment field and things like that, could you speak to like the process of learning to love yourself, to see yourself in a positive light, to know your self-worth, and just like to emanate that like in everything you do?
Yeah. One thing that I was going to mention real quick was like thinking on this question, I was like, man, like there are so many standards. Like, where do you even start? Yeah. Something that I have recently realized. So growing up, I was always very small, and like, you know, just I was always like extra small in clothes. And you know, after I got married, y'all, I gained some happy marriage weight, and I literally like realized how it's just so interesting. Like if I wear something that someone, you know, a size 0 or 2 would wear, but if they're wearing like something like cute, like casual, like comfy cute, like sweatpants and like an oversized t-shirt, it's like, oh, okay, I see you, like street fashion. And like if something that I would wear at my size, people are like, oh, you're bumming it today. And so I'm like, actually, this is like street fashion. I go cute. Like, and so how something like that, it can be the same exact outfit, but just depending on your body type, they call it cute, or they call it like, you know, bumming it that day. Yeah. It's something that I've recognized is like a huge thing. I'm like, how is that even? And also just like growing up, even though I was small, I've always you know, had like a figure. So I always had a butt. And I remember in gym class, we were allowed to wear sweats, shorts, or yoga pants as our uniform. Didn't really matter. And I wear yoga pants, and they literally pulled me aside like, hey, we're actually going to need you not to wear yoga pants anymore. Like, oh, is like this like a rule for everyone? Like, no, you're just distracting the guys. I'm like, wow. Okay, like, so you can talk to the guys about like being distracted, but like I should, you know what I'm saying? But I was a teenager, like I didn't have the guts to say that. I was like, okay, so I just started wearing like bigger clothes so I wasn't, you know, like a hindrance to guys, and realizing now I'm like, there are so all these other girls are wearing yoga pants, but because I have like more curves, it's not deemed like acceptable. And that's just talking about like Christian culture specifically, where it's like more modesty and toxicness surrounding that. It's religious, and not here for it, won't stand for it. Sorry, that was my soapbox about that. But yeah, so we just don't body shame. But yeah, so I think for me, something that I really had to do with, you know, someone mentioned, I don't remember who it was, but basically, you know, you can have, as you're young and growing up, you can have like all of these truths about yourself of like, I'm beautiful, I'm accepted, I'm loved, yada, yada, yada. But when you have people that are constantly like pointing out your flaws and telling you the opposite of what you were like raised to believe about yourself, you start to question like your identity and like if what you've believed about yourself is even true anymore. And that was kind of like where I was in high school. I was like, okay, these people that I don't even know are saying all of these horrible things about me. Like, it must be true. Like people that I love are just lying to me. And it really like tainted my worldview and my perspective of everything, to the point of, if people would like look my direction and laugh, I already like assumed they're laughing at me, because that's how like I was just so crushed by every little thing. And so coming out of that, you know, when I, like I mentioned, like senior year, being like, not like growing up being not pretty enough, and then senior year it's like you're too pretty, like you're snobby. Recognizing, okay, like I've got to like find my identity, like I gotta find like the root of who I want to be. And that really just started with like writing down these lies that I've believed. And so it took me a long time. It was a long list of things that either were spoken over me, or things that I spoke over myself even, or just like random things that like I would think throughout the day, like, oh, I'm stupid or whatever. I just started to write them out. And for every single lie that I had written down, I literally would find like a truth to counteract that lie. So and like also like with like an experience, like if I had a truth of like, if I like, for example, if there was a lie like I'm stupid, then I would like write out a truth of like, I'm actually like, I'm very smart, I work hard for, you know, my intelligence, and this is why. Like, and I would like write down like examples of, you know, areas in my life that I worked hard to achieve things that didn't come easy to me. So I don't know if that's helpful, but and honestly, it really was scripture based. So that was me like going through my Bible, young Sam. I was like, what is this, you know, Lord say about me? And so I was like, Jesus, I've got to get a fresh perspective, because I have a shattered identity. And so that was honestly what I did. And reading those truths over myself daily really helped. So like, where I would just have to renew my mind every day. Like every time, like I would wake up, I would just read these truths over myself that I had written down. And I didn't know what I was doing. Like I was just trying. Like, I was like it sounds like I have this like all together. I was like, I'm just gonna try. Like I don't really know. And so yeah, I was just trying to renew my mind. I was like, okay, like I guess this is how I get like a solid rooted identity that, you know, isn't based on other people's opinions of me. And so yeah, and so for every time people would go to tear me down, I would just have to build myself up. And so yeah, it wasn't an overnight process for sure. And I still have times where I struggle, like we all do. Daily. Where I'm like, oh my gosh, it looks, I literally told my friend today, do I look like a heffalump? And she was like, no. She's like, what's a heffalump? I'm like, I don't know. Do I look like it? She's like, no. But yeah, and I think just having people in your corner that can remind you who you are is a huge thing. So not surrounding yourself with people that are just tearing you down is a huge factor. So surrounding yourself with people who are going to like root for you, cheer you on, be in your corner, and encourage you is a huge thing.
Yeah. So Savannah, first of all, I think it's super commendable that I heard you say that you started to recognize your self-worth your senior year. You're referring to your senior year in high school, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like I know 30-year-old women, 40-year-old women that don't even recognize their self-worth. They struggle with that. And you gave me like goosebumps over here, because you're like putting into perspective my entire like favorite quotes that Cherie read off when she did the introduction. To every lie you believed about yourself, God is speaking to you 1,000 truths. I love that, because I've kind of been doing the same thing. You said that, you know, you feed yourself all these lies, and then other people feed yourself all these lies, and you write down, you know, I've been practicing like redirecting my thought process. So what I'll do is, you know, for instance, if I'm saying in my head, it's just a thought like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'll say out loud the opposite. Just so I can like rid those thoughts all together, because yes, it is a process. It's something that we are, I guess, you know, most of us struggle with daily. as much as we practice our, accepting ourselves for who we are, it is something that is still like a constant battle. Yeah. So even when we think it, instead of trying to rid that thought altogether, like not even having to think it, I've been trying to like redirect my thought process. So yeah, I completely was like over here like, oh, she's like me. But yeah, like I literally do that. I'll think something and I'm like, you know what? Nope. And I'll say the complete opposite out loud. And it's like trying to keep myself in the habit of doing that so that those thoughts don't even enter my mind anymore.
So what you both said, I suffered with bipolar growing up. So I didn't even have to I didn't have anyone else to tell me that I wasn't good enough. I already thought it in my own brain. Mm-hmm. I woke up every day just feeling that way for no apparent reason. So I learned coping mechanisms to cope with those feelings. And it was through writing down how I felt versus what I actually knew. Even though I guess I was kind of in denial, and sometimes I'm like, no, but I can't do it, or no, I'm not good enough, or I'm not pretty enough. But then realizing, well, I might not be pretty enough for that, but I could do this, or I could do that. And realizing what I was good at, or what was my, best features. And I would write those down or think about those to counteract, and to remember what I am worth and what my value is, because every piece of art is not cookie cutter.
Yeah. Good. So good.
Wow. That was so powerful. Like just having the tools to utilize to help you to see yourself in a positive light is so much more powerful than just like being told, hearing that you're beautiful, or hearing that you have these certain attributes, or hearing this or hearing that. Just having the tools to be able to tell yourself those things, like sets the foundation and the groundwork for being able to combat, hearing the negative things on the outside, or even being able to accept compliments. Because I know sometimes as women, we have problems accepting someone telling you, oh, you're beautiful, your outfit looks good today. And we kind of shout off like, oh, this old thing, or, we kind of downplay it like, no, those are also like little pinpoints of like low self-esteem. Like it's okay to accept a compliment. It's okay to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I look good today. I like my outfit. My hair is bomb. It's okay to say that. Like, and that's not conceited. That's like self-confidence. And I think with everything, you have to have balance. Like, that like you were talking about the whole like modesty movement when it comes to Christianity. It's like, you don't have to like, oh, I could just go on and on about this too, Savannah. It's like, no, you can be dope and fashionable and still be a Christian. You don't have to wear a turtleneck up here and a skirt down to your feet.
That is tradition based. That is not religion. That is tradition based, to a T. Because a lot of people, who made these rules?
Who did that? Like,
Savannah was talking about like body shaming, but it's almost like, we're talking about the standards of beauty and what role the media plays in the standards of beauty, but it's almost like, what are the standards? Because it's like, I can be skinny and I'm too skinny in the eyes of everybody else. Yes. So I can have hips and now my hips are too big and, I'm dark skinned, but like my nose is too big. Like, what is the standard really?
Yeah.
Right.
Really. And it's like,
I just was reading something and it was this girl posted about clothing and she was like, did you know that clothing was designed to fit your body? Your body isn't designed to fit clothes. So she was like, buy clothes that fit you. Like, you don't have to. So she was like, it's kind of like when you go to a restaurant and you're like paying for them to serve you. Like you're like asking for the service, like clothes. Your body isn't having to like contort to fit into clothing. Like clothing is created to fit our bodies. And so no shame.
And that's why it goes back to like getting that inner work done. Because to me, I see like my style and my fashion as an expression of how I feel on the inside. So I outwardly express that through what I wear, through how I do my makeup and different things like that. So once you like get that whole inner, it's just all about the inside. Once you get all that like right, then you can like outwardly express that you like literally shine from the inside out, and everything you do, like you walk in that level of confidence,
Yeah,
for sure.
And for me, that's like my hair is how I express myself. Right now, I'm going through my short blonde phase. Me and Amy over here twinning it up.
Yes.
And so like, I change my hair like every so often because that's just how I express myself through like clothes, my hair. If I feel like wearing lashes, you know, Tuesday, then I'll wear my lashes Tuesday, take them off Wednesday. It's like the biggest form of self-expression. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
Literally same. I changed my hair color way too many times. Like my sister, my sister does my hair. She's like, please, because I went red December of 2019, like right before COVID hit. Mm-hmm. And now, like this past fall, when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, I'm going back blonde. My sister's like, it took me so long to get you red. So, anyways, it's fun.
Always love to play dress up. So
yes.
I wear wigs all the time. I love popping on a cute wig with color. I don't have to commit to it for too long and I don't have to do the maintenance. I just take it back off when I get home.
Yeah.
Yes. I know that's right. So let's round it off. Let's end things with this. And I want everyone to kind of jump into this. What advice would you give to women and girls who don't have a healthy sense of self-worth, feel pressured by standards of beauty set by the media or otherwise regarding how they should look and what's deemed as beautiful? And we've kind of already kind of touched on it a little bit, but if you could kind of like put the icing on the cake, like what advice would you give?
Well, I'm going to start off by saying, cut out the people, I don't care who they are. If they are draining your self-worth and making you feel like you're not good enough, they got to go. They got to go. You got to start surrounding yourself with people that see the real you, that you trust, that's telling you the truth. Even if it might be a little constructive criticism here and there, like that jacket ain't it or whatever. But it's people you trust and know that are trying to help you be the best you. They're not going to make you be fake, you know, the best you authentically. Cut those people out that are doing the opposite, get rid of them, and then start working on what your goals are as to what you want to see yourself as in the future, and work towards that. Don't worry about what everybody else thinks. Focus, get streamlined, focus on what you really want. For some people, plastic surgery is what they really want. Go for what you really want. Don't do it because someone else wants it though. Make sure it's what you want. Focus on it. Focus on yourself.
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say.
That's good.
Yeah. So like I'm huge on manifestation. So I just feel like we should all, young and old, like manifest what we want, who we want to be, what we want to do, find out what your purpose is and walk in that. It's a phrase, what is it? Seeing is believing. Mm-hmm. And I 100% do not agree with that phrase. I feel like we should like instill in our minds that it's actually the other way around. I feel like believing is seeing. I feel like if you believe what you feel, if you believe, you'll believe what you feel, believe what you see, believe what you want to be, and you'll see it. I think that us as women, we are huge people pleasers. So getting out of that mindset of trying to please others, trying to be what others want us to be, trying to look like what other people want us to look like, just trying to get out of that mindset. Because also when you're in that state of mind, it will definitely ruin your mental health. And being that I am also huge on mental health, anxiety and depression start to come into play when you try to be someone that you're not, or try to fit in the eye of what the media wants you to look like and what they want you to do and what they want you to be. I feel like your faith and whatever you believe in should overcome all of that. So just believe everything that you want to be. If you believe that you are ugly, that's probably what you'll feel every single day. If you believe that you're too big, that's probably what you'll feel every day you look in the mirror. So just taking a step back and actually like looking at yourself in the mirror and saying like, hey, I'm beautiful. I'm me. I'm authentic. I'm unapologetic. I am like the best thing coming at this point. It's like, just believe what you want to believe, and you'll start to see that.
Absolutely.
That's so good. Both of you guys shared such good things. So ditto. To both of you. Yeah, I just think counseling is a great tool, number one.
Yeah.
So if anyone's watching this and you just don't know even where to begin, get a good counselor. I think that you don't have to be crazy to have a counselor. I go to counseling all the time. So, healthy people work on themselves, often. So, yeah, counseling is a huge, awesome tool and resource that we could use for sure. I also think, just like I mentioned before, just practicing like self-kindness and self-care. So, when you feel like these, hurtful things are coming up in your mind about yourself, I can say, okay, this is something that I do. I catch myself. My husband gets so mad at me. I'll be like, oh my gosh, I look so busted today. Like, I look busted, okay? And my husband will be like, babe, that is so mean. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, and I would never say that to anyone else. Like, I wouldn't tell like any of you ladies, like, y'all look busted, okay? I would never dare tell anyone that. Like, that just wouldn't even like cross my mind.
Mhm.
But I think women, we can be just harsh on ourselves.
Yeah.
And so, focusing on loving ourselves, not saying something to ourselves that we wouldn't say to our best friend.
Yeah.
And then also just having having people that can remind you of your roots of who you are. So when you get to a place where you are really struggling with your self-esteem and your worth, you can call someone who can remind you of your worth. And they're going to ground you again and bring you back to that place of, yeah, this is who I am. Okay. Because sometimes crazy people will make you feel like you're the crazy one. I don't know if you've ever encountered people. So toxic people will make you feel like you're the crazy toxic one. And you're like, am I? Like, and your friend, like, you got to have people that are healthy in your corner that can just remind you, girl, this is what it is. Okay. So, anyways, that's my 2 cents. This is also good though. Everything.
Everything, all of you guys said, like ditto, 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 and ditto. But I was just like, cap it off by saying you are enough as is. Like, the way that you are, your features, your complexion, your size, like, you are enough. And yeah, it's okay to want to like better yourself in different areas and aspects, but just knowing that you are enough as is, no question. Like, you are a unique being. Like, you're I think a lot of the times, like, I know for me, I didn't appreciate the uniqueness and the authenticity of Cherie, because it's so many distractions, so many things and people to compare yourself to. But once you realize that you are unique and one of a kind, like your originality, your authenticity, like it's nobody else out there like you. It's only one you. There's only one you. Like, nobody can duplicate that. People can may be inspired by it, which is amazing. People may be empowered by that, but there's only one you. And once you embrace the fact that you are made on purpose for a purpose, like, you literally become unstoppable. It's like nothing can stand in your way. Nothing anyone says can make you feel otherwise or think otherwise. Like, once you know, okay, I'm made on purpose for purpose. I am enough. And even saying those affirmations, like Savannah, I think all of us spoke to affirmations, like literally looking in the mirror and being like, no, you are beautiful. You are enough. You are smart. Like, all the lies, we talked about lies and the truth, all the lies that you hear, look in the mirror and tell yourself the opposite of the lie that you hear, and do it until you believe it. Like you were saying, Asia, like people say seeing is believing. No, believing is seeing. Once you believe it, once you say it over and over again and look yourself in the mirror, you'll eventually believe that thing. Like, it'll like literally get on the inside of you. And then you can like walk in authentic confidence because you know that you are enough.
Right.
That's so good. Yes, I was gonna say that is so good. I just reminded me, I think sometimes we can feel like we have to have it all together.
Yeah.
I don't like people that have it all together. Like,
Yeah.
like I'm like, I
That's
don't
boring.
Yeah.
yeah, like I'm like, I love people that are just raw and like hot mess express, because I'm like,
Transparency is the best.
yeah, and so exactly. And so like growing up being so self-conscious about things that were imperfect about myself, the moment that I like started to just embrace the imperfections of myself, and instead of putting them down, like just like saying like, yeah, this is like me, like, and celebrating it, like it just completely shifted everything for me, and it also empowered others to do the same. And so when we begin to celebrate, like, you know, like I have a couple of scars because I've had tons of surgeries. People are like, oh my gosh, you have scars, you know, and I'm like, oh, I like them. They tell stories, you know, like just like when people even go to like feel sorry for you or put you down, like for something that's not, you know, just right. Even just like correcting them, be like, no, thank you. Like I actually like that about myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you? Go ahead. That's what I was gonna say.
Oh no, I just said embrace it. I was just agreeing with you, girl.
Yeah. And so just like, you know, finding the beauty, because again, like nobody wants to follow someone who's perfect and who's always right and always has it all together, because it just makes you feel like less than. And so, I mean, you think of your friends and it's like, it's so annoying to have someone that always is right and always is perfect. And you're like, do you just mess up ever? Because it's just unrealistic. And so the more we begin to just be vulnerable and transparent with our struggles, I think, the more like we're going to change the world. I think, yeah, look, we need women in leadership in our community and, you know, our area. And without women, we would be nowhere. So strong women lift up each other. And yeah, this was so good.
Yeah.
One of the best things I think about being a woman is almost all women I know that finally have found themselves, they've also turned their struggles into something miraculous. They have taken, you know, the worst, and instead of having a victim mentality or I'm not good enough or I'm not this, they have used it to fuel their fire and to prove everyone and everything around them the opposite.
Yes.
Use it to fuel your fire and let it burn.
Yeah. Make your pain your purpose.
Right.
Turn your pain into your purpose.
Right. No matter if it's going to the gym all the time and that's how it gets out, but it's fueling your fire. It's giving you a purpose and a reason. And it's putting that negativity somewhere else, and it's turning to something positive in your life and you don't realize it, but the more it happens and the more it happens, your life just changes. You get focused on that and you don't pay attention to all that other stuff anymore, and eventually you're just way up here and nothing can touch you anymore.
Yeah. And don't be ashamed of your story, because in all honesty, like Savannah said, she had like 50 to 60 girls like come to her like, oh my God, like your pain encourages like so many people. So many people are looking up to you now. So many people are looking up to you before, not even thinking like I could look at Savannah or Cherie or you, Amy, and never think that any of you have been through some of the things that y'all have already shared. And it's just it's like a relief. Because it's like, oh God, I'm not the only person that's like going through, like Savannah said, somebody that doesn't have anything to share, or they always walk like, you know, oh, you know, this doesn't, I'm good. That's like, it makes you feel like, dang, well, like, God, did you miss me? Like, hello, I'm here. So it's like, it's a relief to know that like, we have so much in common. And just being able to be transparent, because in some instances, not all women have that platform to be themselves. You know, they're constantly feeling judged, they're constantly feeling ridiculed, and like, you know, people are talking about them because they've experienced battles that we may or may not have experienced. So just to have like that safe haven for us to be authentic and share, you know, our pain and our story is like amazing.
Yeah.
They wouldn't talk about you if you weren't doing nothing. Now.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's what I tell myself. I'm like, well, they're just talking because, you know, I'm doing something right.
Exactly.
They wouldn't be trying to throw that on me if I won't.
Wow. This has been so good, y'all. I mean, this has been amazing. Like, I know that just what I received from all this, I can imagine the people that view this, what they're going to get, you
Yeah.
know? So I just want to thank each of you ladies for agreeing to be a part of this random thing that I just threw out there by hitting you up in your DMs or social media. Thank you so much for agreeing to be a part of this. I knew that it was going to be amazing. I knew that each of you had something unique and beautiful and powerful to share, to be able to inspire, uplift, educate, and encourage whoever may see or hear this. So again, thank you for being a part of this show. We definitely have to do this again. Like,
Yes.
we definitely
Yeah.
have to do this again for sure. And that concludes the Business of Beauty show. I'm gonna definitely add the social media platforms of all these ladies somewhere in this program so you can follow them, keep up with them, utilize their services if you want to. If you want to just follow them, just to, you know, follow their day-to-day journey, because we're all real, we're all authentic here. You're not gonna see nothing perfect 100%. Like, if you want relatable content, definitely follow these ladies. Yeah, so I'll just put their information out there if you want to get in touch with them more, if that's okay with you all. If people just want to reach out to you and maybe
Sure.
talk to you more or whatever. Yeah, definitely going to put their information
Beauty
out there.
professionals are therapists also.
Exactly.
Yes.
For sure. For sure. All right, ladies. So again, that concludes the Business of Beauty show. Thank you so much to everyone who viewed. We hope that you were inspired, uplifted, and encouraged through the content we provided today. And make sure you stay tuned for the rest of Moten Live 2021, because it's some more amazing content that you will see. Have a wonderful day.